Hi, it's Tracey Campbell here today for Confessions of a Paper Addict Design Team. Today I'm going to be showcasing one of the January cut files. It's called The Moon and the Stars. So I'm actually going to attempt for the very first time to do a shaker box. Very first time. I've looked at them and often thought, oh, they're so lovely, and just never got around to doing it. So I'm going to do it today. I've picked a couple of different pattern papers in very light pastel colours because I am going to scrap one of my baby photos, not mine, but one of my daughter's baby photos, and I have decided that I'm going to use the pastel colours. So I've already pre-cut the moon and the stars cut file, and I enlarged it so it's almost a 12 by 12 and it fits on the page nicely. Here you can see me tracing the inside of the cut file and then cutting around with about a millimetre edge so that I've got somewhere to adhere the pattern paper to the cardstock of the cut file. It's in vellum that I'm using, so this is obviously going to be the front of the shaker box. And I've decided I'm just going to do one of the images from the three that are around the circles in the cut file. So I'm doing the moon, the larger cloud, and one of the stars. So I did use lead pencil to trace onto the vellum. So here I'm just gently rubbing it off. So I used a soft 2B pencil, clicker pencil, and it just removes the lead comes off a little bit easier if you use a softer lead. Right, so I've now got my vellum cut out and I'm trying to work out, I should have probably researched a little bit how to do a shaker box, but I thought, oh no, that'd be easy. So I thought I'll just go for it and see how it goes. I've decided to stick the vellum straight onto the cut file straight away. If I did this next time, I'd probably do it a little bit differently, but we live and learn, we make mistakes. So I'm just making sure that the glue was completely sealed and spread around all of the cut file around the outer image of it, I guess. So I spread it out with my finger. This was to make sure that the vellum was going to stick really well to the cardstock, because I was going to add glitter and sequins in there. I didn't want them all sneaking out and getting everywhere. So spreading it around, making sure that I get the glue off my mat, because I would end up sticking my images to the mat. It's just the way I am. A bit clumsy when it comes to doing this type of stuff. And just re-sticking where I didn't spread the glue enough or get enough glue on there. So I'm looking at the colour now. I've decided on the pink background, and I'm looking through the little pile of paper that I have there on the side to see which ones I think I'm going to use. Excuse the birds in the background. I've been banished into my bedroom and I've got a lovely tree out the front, and the birds get in there and sing away to us. It's a bit noisy here this weekend. I've got my daughter's having sleepovers, so the quietest area is the bedroom. Now you can see that I've actually done drawing the inside of the images in a diagonal manner. I wanted the colours to be similar because on that pattern paper there are a few light and a few blues, and I wanted it to follow the pattern and get some light, some blue. So when I looked at the image, it was diagonally, so I traced it up diagonally. And just going around the outside and trimming off enough once again, so I'm leaving some that I can adhere to the cut file. And using the blues this time, so for this cut file, so for the moon and the stars cut file, I've decided that what have I done? I've decided that I was going to use the blue 4 times, so the 2 smaller clouds, one of the large stars, or the larger star, and then a smaller star that goes up near the moon that I'm doing now. Yep. liking how it comes, and I just skipped ahead and edited it out, but here I've filled in the rest of the stars with a light purple and a yellow colour pattern paper. Now I'm working out here how I'm going to make sure that I get enough dimension in the shaker box. So I've gone ahead and I've cut out the same images that I used with the vellum, and I've cut them out again in just white cardstock, because when I put the vellum down on the pattern paper I could see the pink through it, and I decided that I didn't want the pink straight through the vellum. So I've backed it again with the white. Well, I will back it again with the white, but I'll also add some three-dimensional tape in there as well, you'll see soon, to give it that bit of a depth. So I've got some depth in there where I can put the sequins. So I'm just trimming up my shapes a little bit here because I overcut them. So I cut the images, even though I traced them, I overcut the images a little bit too much, and I had too much of the cardstock showing through, and you could actually see it on the outside of the cut file. So I was just trimming it off, have a look again, decided it needed a little bit more and trimmed a little bit more off. And as I said, at this stage I'm thinking there's got to be an easier way to do these shaker boxes, but you live and learn. After this I'll go and Google how to do it and see how some of the other scrapbookers do it. So this is the three-dimensional tape I'm using. It is in strips, but it was just a little bit too thick. It was actually thicker than the cut file. So I just trimmed the three-dimensional tape, just cut it down the middle. So instead of just having one strip, I got two strips out of the one strip. And I'm just fiddling with it and using the South adhesive on the strip to go around and adhere it to the very edge of the white cardstock that I just trimmed up. It was quite fiddly, but eventually I got there, and I'm sure there's got to be an easier way. We live and learn, don't we? Just on the very edges. It's been a while since I've scrapbooked a photo of my baby photos of my daughters. I've got a lot of them lying around. I just don't know why I don't pull them out and scrap a little bit more. I guess you can't scrap all the photos that you want, or you run out of time, or you want to do the most modern ones because you've got the story that you need to write down and talk about. Right, so now I've got all my 3 bits done. I'm pulling off the backing to the three-dimensional tape, and I've decided that I need to work out what sequins I need and what glitter, so what colours. So I'm just going through a container that I've got that's full of sequins and little bits and pieces, pulling out the ones that are pastel-y in colour, a little bit brighter, because I do know that when I put them behind the vellum's going to dull the colours down a little bit. And I've decided to go with some pinks, some blues, a little bit of green, not much, and some yellow sequins. And they're the ones on the side there you can see now. Now, what I'm going to do is flip it over and just randomly pop them in there. Yeah, next time I think I'm going to pour them into the actual shell with the three-dimensional tape on. So not take the tape off first, because the issue would be that the sequence when you pour them in sticks to the tape. So next time I'll flip it over, pour the sequence in, so it's kind of forming a little basin, a bowl I guess, and pour the sequence in, and the three-dimensional tape should hold it in. So now as you can see, I'm pouring in a little bit of finer glitter sequence type thing, and it went everywhere, but lucky I didn't have any adhesive there, so it hasn't stuck to them. So I'm just using the back end of a clicker pencil with the rubber on to move the sequins, the glitter, back into where I want it. Right, now the fiddly part. The part with the backing cut out and the image on it. Well, not the image on it, the three-dimensional tape on it. I've decided that I was going to use a bit of glue on top of the three-dimensional tape because at this stage I didn't think the three-dimensional tape, with all my fiddling and touching it, felt very strong. So I went, yep, I'm going to pop some glue on there and that'll just hold it in. And I was very careful to make sure that the glue just went on the edge and didn't go into where the vellum was, because I didn't want the sequins sticking to that area on the vellum. I wanted it to be free. Okay, dry and flipping it over. And I really, really like how it turned out in the end. It was a bit fiddlier than I thought it was going to be, but I just thought it was really nice. Now, I've popped it onto the pink pattern paper, and I've decided at this stage that it doesn't stand out as bright and as much as I wanted. So I wanted to dull down the area where I'm going to put the cut file down. So for this, as you saw, I traced around the outside with a lead pencil of where the cut file is going to go. And then I got this glue stick, which I just roughly, very roughly, went around in a circle where the pencil was. And then I got the, it's kind of like a really thick glitter. And it's called shaved ice. And it's just really thick, and it's made up of like a luminescent plastic chunky glitter, I suppose you can call it. And I just put that down, sprinkled it on, and then shook off the excess and let it dry. And now I'm going to adhere the cut file to the page, having issues with my three-dimensional magic. I've gone back to use the three-dimensional magic in this because I'm adhering it to that chunky shaved ice glitter, and being a thicker medium on the pattern paper, it requires a thick wet glue to bond with the paper as well as that shaved ice. I'm just sticking it down. Now, as you saw, I put something on it and I just pushed another mat on it, and I put weight onto it, and I did let it dry underneath the weight. It's just to make sure that it all stuck down properly. Right, the photo. In it goes. Just this delicate little photo of Paige on the very first day when she was born. And she had a little bit of a scrape. I had an emergency cesarean, and yeah, ended up that she was bleeding a little bit and I was bleeding a little bit. So this is the very first photo that we took, and she wasn't quite cleaned up, but yeah, just a little nice little photo of her fast asleep. She was a good sleeper when she was first born. Changed a little bit as she grew older. Okay, so what I'm doing is the cutouts from the cut file, the star cutouts, I'm using those in the layout. So I've just applied some kitty glitz in Crystallina and to the top of the stars. And once they were dry, I randomly put them around on the page in little groups. So I grouped them around the main images of the moon and the clouds and the stars and kept them together. I cut a title out. I love you to the moon and back. Just using the cameo to cut it out. And placing a few other sequence stars around as well. Having a fiddle with the title and eventually getting all the elements on the page that I want. Just popping them down, making sure I like where they're going, and then sticking them down shortly. Now, the title was really fun to do. I actually just used the font files that I've got in my silhouette and just had a play with Skinny and a script font. Just played with them until I got it balanced and thought it looked nice, and then printed it off. No, didn't print it off, cut it off. Just using a a glue pen to stick everything down. Make sure it's all in position. It's actually, I had to use I Love You to the Moon and Back because this is something that Paige and I, ever since she was little, and I read her the book I Love You to the Moon and Back for the very first time, it's something that we always say to each other. So I used it as the title for this. And I must admit, when I showed her the finished layout, she absolutely loved it. And yeah, so it's a little personal touch that we have together. I use another quote with Bronte, but I won't tell you about that because I'm sure I'll scrap that very soon, and you'll get to hear the story again about Bronte's little verse that I say with her. And I'm realising about now I should have edited out me doing this title bit because you really don't need to see all of this. I do apologise. I do like to make the clips a little bit shorter than what they are when I'm doing it in real life and speed it up a bit. Sometimes I just, when I'm editing, I leave a bit too much in thinking, oh yeah, I'll have something to talk to you about. And then now I find myself rabbiting on. Okay, so there's the title. The I Love You wasn't sticking quite as well as I wanted to because it was on the thicker glitter. So I've put a 12 by 12 paper pad up there to put a little bit of weight on it. Make sure that it sticks properly down and give it a bit of time to dry. And here comes some more glitter sequins. Going through my little stash there, just pulling out the stars and popping them on as well. Must admit I do have quite a few sequins and glitter. I love putting them on my layouts. Don't like them all over the house as I tend to find them later on, but I do like them on my layouts. Having two girls, I do tend to do a bit of a girly girl look to my layouts, and of course sequins and glitter goes very well. Now I'll talk to you about the Etsy shop. So easiest way is if you Google Confessions of a Paper Addict or COAPA and write Etsy underneath, it takes you, the first link that pops up is straight to the Etsy shop. In the Etsy shop you will find, oh my goodness, over I reckon 600 cut files. Absolutely wonderful. Here is the final layout. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And as I was talking about the Etsy shop, here's the link. It will be popping up on the screen very soon. Please pop in and buy some of the cut files. See you next time.